So tell me about the Royal Variety Show. Did you choose the act?
Yeah, I choose them all.
So how does that work then? Do you have a wish list in your head?
And we weren't in the lead early on. And I said, look, she said, trust me, you're going to win. And we did.
Of all those acts you've seen, which do you think have been the most memorable?
Well, that's very difficult because there's been so many. And she put together the most amazing array of talent.
Do you remember who was on it?
Everybody.
Everyone.
It's variety.
Now, on today's episode, we have something slightly different, as our guest today is not a performer, but has spent most of his working life on the other side of the camera. First as a director for the BBC, working on such programmes as A Little Bit of Fry and Laurie, French and Saunders, the Kenny Everett Show. And then he went on to produce such TV icons as the Royal Variety Show, and even more potentially iconic, the Eurovision Song Contest, where I believe he was actually producing the show when we last won, which was quite some time ago. This guest has clearly seen hundreds and hundreds of different acts, and therefore I think is very, very suitable guest for this podcast. So welcome, Kevin Bishop.
Hello.
So as I said in my intro, you have seen lots and lots of different acts throughout the years. I just wondered, if I may, to begin with, ask you, of all those acts you've seen, which do you think have been the most memorable?
Well, that's very difficult because there's been so many. My favourite performers who I worked with and became friends with, Victoria Wood, French and Saunders, Fry and Laurie, and Rory Bremner. And they were all such great people to work with, and it was great that I could remain friends with them after.
I mean, they were all comedians, weren't they, I suppose?
Yes, yeah.
And when you first dealt with them, I presume, although they were appearing on the BBC, they weren't as big a names as they became.
Well, no, French and Saunders, I directed their very first series. Jim Moyer, who was the boss, my boss, he told them that he was taking a big punt booking them, but I think he was very glad he did.
I'm sure he did. And do you remember with all those acts, when they weren't known, could you tell early on that they were going to be
Oh, yes.
big?
I think Dawn and Jennifer, I think as soon as the first day of rehearsals, you just knew what was going to happen to them. It was very obvious.
I suppose it's easy for everyone, isn't it? Once an act is famous,
Yep.
you think they're famous. They're always going to be famous. I've always found it interesting. How did they get there? And there were clearly points for everyone when they weren't famous, and there must have been a cusp moment, of which performing on the BBC must have been one.
It's interesting because, I mean, the Victoria Wood, her early years were very interesting, you know, because, I mean, I know she actually sang on That's Life fortnightly, I think.
Oh, yes, that's right, as a interlude, sort of. Did you ever want to be a performer? Or you were?
No. I knew from being 6 or 7 that I wanted to work in film, TV, or theatre, really, as a producer, director, really. That's what I wanted to do. So even when we were in Biggin Hill, I used to stage Search tattoos in the back garden.
Okay.
And I recreated Princess Margaret's wedding in the street as well.
So you always then had a passion for creating.
Yeah. And when I moved to Devon, I built a puppet theatre in the garage. Everything was very sort of theatrical, really.
And then what happened? What was your first actual paid job?
So we had a little theatre in Paynton, the Palace Avenue Theatre, and they did lots of amateur shows there. So I used to go and help backstage there. Norman Jenkins, who was the stage manager, they then built the Festival Theatre in Paynton, and then Norman went as stage manager there. And he said, you must come work with us down there. And at that time, I'd gone to uni in Plymouth to do a 3-year course, thankfully in film and television production, because that's what I wanted to do. The year I left college, Billy and Trevor George asked me, they'd seen me, because I used to do lots of, in the winter months, the Holiday Camp used to let the local residents use the club on Saturday nights. So I used to stage little variety shows there. Billy and Trevor George see me dancing in that, and they said, we want you to come be a dancer in our show. It's called painting the clouds with Donald Piers, if you remember.
Yes.
And we'd love you to come and dance. So I did that. And Norman Jenkins, who was their stage manager, said, Kevin, you've got to come work with us this summer. So I said, you're right. I'm leaving college this year, so I need to come and work.
That went very well, then.
It went very well. So it was Crowthers in town, Leslie Crowther, Basil Brush and John Hanson. Bottom of the bill, Larry Grayson. He did 7 minutes each night, and he was just so funny. We knew he was going to be a star.
So what year did you actually start working at the BBC?
That was a long time. I just couldn't get into television was the problem.
Because everyone wanted to get into television.
Yeah, and I tried after my Larry Grayson working days. Peter Dulé, who was his manager, used to be a producer at Thames Television, and he left and then started managing Larry, and he decided to produce Cali Cam as an independent production. So he said, he rang me, because he knew of me through Larry Grayson, and he said, Kevin, you know all about television, because I'd done my uni course. So I said, what come to as what? So he said, I'll decide later. So I went to work with Peter, and about 3 weeks in, he said, I know exactly what you want to be associate producer. Well, I was only, 23 at the time. So I did that, and it was fantastic.
So tell me about the Royal Variety Show. How did that come about?
That came about because I was asked to direct the Queen Mother's 90th birthday gala, which I loved. It was just, Yvonne Littlewood produced it, and she put together the most amazing array of talent.
Do you remember who was on it?
Everybody.
Name me two.
Michael Caine and Roger Moore did a brilliant spoof of an Ascot scene, which was fantastic. I had this message from Bob Monkhouse after it had gone transmitted saying, Kevin, you directed that like a Hollywood movie, the best directed royal show I've ever watched in my life.
Well, that's something.
So I thought
Have you kept that message?
Quite like that. So because of that, Jim Moyer, who was then my boss, said, Kevin, I'm so impressed with your work on that. I'd really like you to produce and direct a children's Royal Variety next year. So I was lucky, really, to the people who I got involved to perform, like the Michael Barrymores of this world. It worked so well. And Jim said, you did that so well, I want you to produce the next Royal Variety. Because there was nobody else around who really was interested in producing Royal Variety. So I actually ended up doing the next 10.
That's quite a lot. Now, just in case, I brought with me, just to hark your memory back to the 2004 variety show, okay? Now, apparently, according to my records, on that show was, amongst others, Michael Bublé, Elton John, Liza Minnelli, and Jimmy Carr. That's just 4 out of...
Yes, that was one of the very first TV shows that Jimmy Carr did. I saw him do something in the Albert Hall, and I thought I really want him to be in.
Did you choose the act?
Yeah, I choose them all.
So how does that work then? Do you have a wish list in your head?
Because you just have a year to plan it. During the year, you just see people and you think, oh, I'd really like them to do it, or, you know.
So there's someone, I don't know, Liza Minnelli.
I think I just thought,
yeah, but you contact, who has it work? You contact their management and say, oi.
Management say,
oi, come. And does everyone say yes?
Yeah.
Does anyone ever say, well, actually, no, I'm a Republican. Don't believe them.
I didn't have many people say no to me. I really early on wanted Dick Van Dyke.
Oh, yes.
I loved Dick Van Dyke.
Like Dick Van Dyke.
But he won't fly anywhere.
And he would never fly anywhere.
He'd never fly.
Okay.
So I assume when he came to do Mary Poppins 2, which they shot at Pinewood, he must have come on the ship, I suppose.
That's interesting. So other than Dick Van Dyke, pretty big name, people would generally say...
Yeah. I never had a problem, apart from Dick Van Dyke.
Okay. So that's one question. You've got your wish list, you've got your Elton Johns or whoever you've got. You then have to decide the order, I presume.
Yeah.
Now, is there a pegging position as to which... I mean, out of the ones I've mentioned, who would be the star? Or they all stars? Well, they're all stars, but who would be the star?
Well, I think you just try and work out, because in the theatre it's in 2 halves, so you always have a top of the bill for the end of the part 1. So it's quite easy to work out, I think, the right order, really, I think.
Did you ever get any sort of pushback? People who were like, didn't think they were in a good enough place? Or...
No, I never had any problems.
Is Liza Minnelli a bigger star than Michael Bublé, for example? I mean, for me, yes, but that's only because I'm into musical theatre.
I think at that stage, she would have been bigger.
Yes, at that
than
stage,
Bublé,
you're probably
yes.
right.
I think now, probably Michael Bublé would be bigger than
yes,
her.
So things change. Yes,
I think then.
I think you're right. Okay, so you book the acts. You've decided on the order. You have a rehearsal, I presume. There's a rehearsal?
Yep.
And do you just top and tail, or does each act do its whole...
I think generally the comics just top and tail. Obviously, all the music numbers I need to rehearse, make sure the cameras, the shots work fine.
And you have a live orchestra, presumably?
Yeah.
None of this before the backing tracks. Yeah. And so someone like Elton John or Liza Minnelli would do their number.
Yeah.
And you would be liaising directly with them, or you wouldn't be going through...
No.
So you say, Elton, you need to be standing here?
Yeah.
And you never had any issues with egos, I suppose?
Some previous producers, Stuart Morris in particular, everything was a nightmare. I never had a problem, but I think that's the way that I am.
But there must have been moments which weren't straightforward. You had all these people, you had a lot of juggling to do. There must have been times where acts complained or...
Well, no.
None?
No. I think the only complaint was Shirley Bassey complained because her dressing room had been painted the night before she went in there.
And it's not a pain. Well, I'd complain. Actually, an interesting question I just thought of, talking to you about all these people that you've dealt with, have you ever felt starstruck?
So basically, the first night of the crowds in town, I was driving home and who should be at the bus stop but Larry Grayson. So I said, what are you doing here? So I'm waiting for my bus.
He was just by himself, waiting for the bus?
On his own. So I said, I'm waiting for my bus back to Brixham so I could get in. So I was spending the next 16 weeks driving him backwards and forwards. And then 2 weeks before he said, I've had really good news. I'm doing 2 weeks at the London Palladium, followed by 2 weeks. Danny LaRue then had a club in Hanover Square. And Danny was actually going to have a holiday. And he said that Larry Grayson should replace him, which was fun. Considering Larry was totally unknown, was just incredible. So I said to Larry, right, what you need is a road manager. I know the perfect person, it's me.
You seem quite good at pushing yourself forward.
Well, you've got to, haven't you? So he said, I've got no money. So I said, if you've had my national insurance stamp, my travel, food and accommodation, it's all I need. Right, you're on. So I went and had the best 4 weeks of my life, really. Those 2 weeks played him. And I met John Avery, was then the manager, and Edwin Shaw, the box office manager, and they became lifelong friends from that moment. And those 2 weeks at Danny LaRue's club was just extraordinary. People like Liberace came in and came backstage.
You met Liberace?
Yeah, Liberace.
Wow. Wow.
So that was all just fantastic. I think that Liberace moment in Larry Grayson's dressing room, it was the only time, I think.
But that's also probably because you were young as well, and you hadn't,
of course,
been exposed to. I mean, once you've had Liberace,
I know.
Well, even Elton John is sort of slightly back of. I mean, that'd be interesting if you have a Liberace and Elton John. Who then takes the star place? It's quite interesting.
It's funny because Elton came in a Kenny Everett show when I was still production manager, or even an AFM. Elton John came and sang a song on one of those Kenny Everett's for us.
Wow. Because you forget how long Elton John has been doing.
I know.
I mean, since the 70s, so 50 years.
I know. So it's incredible.
It seems that for me, if I was to organise a party in a pub, I'd feel very stressed because a lot of things can go wrong. For you, organising a mammoth TV show, Zoom to millions, big star names, you must have felt stressed from time to time.
I never did, really. And it's funny because that in the most of those early Royal Right, I actually directed as well as produced. So I was stuck in the caravan out the back of the theatre as well. I never felt stressed. I don't know why. I'm very lucky, really, I think.
So no sleepless nights. It just went on smoothly. There must have been. It's inevitable with live entertainment. I always feel, in a way, the joy of live entertainment is the possibility of things going wrong.
Yep.
You must have had things going wrong.
No. I can honestly say nothing went wrong.
In any live show?
Rowan Atkinson, I blame myself because we did actually have an auto cue for a couple of the acts. And I nearly said to Rowan, and I thought, I can't really say this to Rowan Atkinson. And I so wish I had done.
What did you want to say to him?
That he should use the auto cue because he just didn't get it together on the night at all.
So he forgot his words?
And he said, and I actually did what I thought was a perfect edit. And he said, Kevin, I must see what you've done. So I sent it to him and said, oh, Kevin, well done. You've got me out of a lot of trouble.
Was that a Royal Variety Show?
That's a Royal Variety, yeah.
So the Royal Variety Show was obviously live for the audience, but was edited for when it was transmitted?
Yeah.
You worked on Wogan, didn't you, for a long time?
Yeah. When I first got that original BBC job was a 6-month holiday relief attachment as an assistant floor manager. And then my first job was being assistant floor manager on the Kelly Monteith series, and Jim Moyer was the producer director of that. And at the end of that series, Jim was made head of Variety, so he then became my boss. And it was because of Jim that I became production manager, director, producer, exec producer, all under Jim Moyer. So he is as responsible as Larry Grayson, Jeff Posner, and Danny LaRue are the 4 people who are responsible for my whole career, really. So I was production managing a Kelly Monteith series down on location, down in the New Forest, and Jim Moyer phoned me in the days before mobile phones, reception in the hotel, and the girl said, oh, Kevin, there's a call for you here. So I took the phone over the reception desk, and Jim Moyer said, Kevin, I've decided I want you to direct the next series of Wogan, which was Saturday night Wogans. And I'd never been on a training course or anything. So he said, you could do it. So I just spent the next sort of couple of months sitting in galleries watching Michael Hurl and people direct TV, really. And that was it, really.
How long were you with the Wogan programme for?
I did one series of Saturday Night Wogans, which was fantastic. And it was all, A-list Hollywood stars and everyone else. It was quite interesting because one week when we had nobody, and Jeff Posner was producing it, I was directing it, and he said, Jeff, I don't know what we're going to do. So I said, look, if we're really stuck by Wednesday, I'll ask my mate Vera Lynn if she'll come on. So I got to Wednesday, and Jeff said, you'll have to ask your mate Dame Vera. So I phoned Harry, her husband, and I said, Harry, look, is there any chance that Vera could come and be a guest on Wogan on Saturday, Friday? It's for Friday, transmit on Saturday. And he said, yep, but she doesn't want to sing. So I said, no, it's just to speak. So we'd had this whole 16-week series of A-list stars. And that show had the biggest audience reaction to any other show because it was Vera.
And it just goes to show, though, doesn't it? Is that some people are just in the country's psyche.
The British public just love Vera.
And was that another programme that was recorded live, but not broadcast? It wasn't broadcast live, was it?
We recorded it Friday and it went out Saturday nights. Then at the end of that series, they gave Terry 3 nights a week.
Yes, I remember. That's a lot. And when you did all of those?
So Jim said, I want you to do the first 6 months. And we used to do every other week. So we'd have 2 teams. So a different producer director every fortnight. And got to the end of the first year. And I was so enjoying it. I said, Jim, I want to stay and do another year. He said, no, you need to do game shows. I said, I don't want to do game shows. I never did a game show ever.
Did a game show.
So I did.
Well, Terry did game shows, didn't he?
Yes, he did, yeah.
And so for guests on Wogan, as you said, there were a lot of celebs. And that was unscripted, wasn't it? It was a bit like it was a conversation. Yeah. There must have been, you weren't in control of guests, so there must have been awkward moments on those type of programmes with guests who weren't playing ball, for example. Did that ever happen?
No, it did, but luckily not on one of mine. Because there was some A-list American lady who refused to answer any question.
Do you remember who that was?
I ought to. I just can't remember who it was. And she said, yes, no. Yes.
Yeah, which isn't.
She just didn't want to play ball at all. Why she agreed to do it, I've got no idea.
Probably promoting something. Do you watch Graham Norton now?
I love Graham Norton.
So do you feel that sort of passing the baton on? Is that the same type of programme?
Yes. I think Graham's did a very good job taking over from Terry on Eurovision. I think he's by far the best person to do it, because I just think he does it really well.
And that's a nice segue, because I'd like to end up maybe talking about Eurovision, which has now become this massive monster of a thing, which wasn't quite that when you were doing it, but was still an important, iconic thing. Now, Katrina and the Waves won. You were there.
I was.
Was it expected that they'd win?
No, it's funny. I was obviously in the green room with them during the voting, and the lady running the Irish version of Eurovision said, Kevin, you're going to win. So I said, we'll never win. We've never won yet. She said, look, and the votings were coming in, and we weren't in the lead early on. And I said, look, she said, trust me, you're going to win. And we did.
Now, at that point, did you think, hurrah, or did you suddenly click, oh dear? Because that means the next year you'd be producing the whole shooting match, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So tell me about that then. So that was 1988 in Birmingham?
Yes. Was it 90?
1988. 1998.
Yeah, we won in 97.
Yes.
So it's a challenge, really. So I decided I went to every sort of major city to see what was possible. And I got it down to, in the end, it was either Cardiff, Birmingham, Manchester, or Glasgow, I think.
You didn't consider London?
The only place it was the Albert Hall, but that's not available a year before.
Well, you could have chucked whoever was in it out.
Yeah, no, I can't do it. So I took all my BBC bosses to those four places, and Linda Barrow, who ran the National Indoor Arena in Birmingham, she met us at the railway station in this pink outfit, and I thought, oh, Birmingham's got this.
Based on what she was wearing?
Yeah.
That's Eurovision for you. That is Eurovision for you.
As soon as I saw her, I knew we were in Birmingham.
And what did that then entail that year? What did you have to do?
It was quite interesting because there was a G8 summit in the National Indoor Arena just before us, and they'd put in this big journalist quarter, which was fantastic. So we just inherited that, which was fantastic. So something that we needed big time, really. I had a bit of a problem with the police wouldn't take me seriously. Right.
Tell me what happened.
So what I did is I got the executive producer from Dublin to come to Birmingham to tell the police what they needed to do, and that changed.
Because they'd experienced it the year before.
They said, Kevin, I'm so glad you did that. We're going to rethink the whole structure. I had a control room above the main studio gallery. So I had a policeman next to me with a phone. He said, Kevin, if this phone rings, we've got a problem.
Did it ring?
It did ring. So basically, it was a bomb scare, right? And he said, Kevin, it's a bomb scare, but thankfully there was a multi-story car park attached to the building, right? Which they had purposely kept completely empty. So there was nothing in there at all apart from sniffer dogs. So he said, we're fine.
Oh, well, so that was lucky.
That was all because of me bringing the guy from Dublin over to tell them what they needed to do.
And then the show itself, do you remember how many countries participated then?
No.
But no, certainly not as many as...
But we were the last Eurovision ever to have a live orchestra. So I'm quite proud of that.
Well, no, so you should be. And that is a shame in general terms,
It's
isn't
very
it?
sad.
Yes, but not just in your show and lots of shows. You go to West End shows and they've either might have a keyboard player and so, or you just backing tracks, which is a bit of a shame. Now that year, as far as I remember, Dana International won.
Yes.
And she was a transsexual act,
Something like that.
which in 1998 was way ahead. Do you remember what people's reaction to that was?
I think they'd been quite shocked because it was either her, Malta, or the UK were really sort of
Neck and neck.
One was above the other. So when she won, of course, she wasn't ready at all. She'd go and change dresses. So Terry Wogan was horrified because they had to wait for ages for her to get dressed.
Was there much comment about that? About
Don't think so.
people? I know it was Eurovision, I suppose. So people just accept, which is great.
Yeah.
And then she became somewhat of an idol for the LGBT community, as Eurovision always is, I suppose. So it fitted quite well. I wanted to ask you also just generally about the role of the BBC, if I may. I mean, obviously, you spent your life working for the BBC, and it sounds like you had an amazing time. As you know, the BBC has had a lot of criticism. Things have changed, do you think, within the organisation?
Well, I think I was quite glad. I had the best years. Well, as you know, I had a fantastic career, but also the last couple of years, it was not like it was in my heyday. So I was quite glad to get out when I got out, really.
What did you feel was changing?
It just was not. It wasn't the same the way it was run, and it was just so vastly different to the good BBC, my good BBC years.
So the creativity changed, or the risk taking?
It just felt different.
I mean, we mentioned at the beginning the acts that you particularly remembered. If you were thinking of a particular programme that you worked on that you're particularly proud of, what do you think?
The Queen Mother's 90th birthday gala, because it looks so good. I'm just very proud of it, really. So I'm very proud of that in my stable of work.
Well, no, I'm sure.
But having said that, everything, my Royal Varieties and French and Saunders, Victoria Wood, Laurie, everything was just such fun, really.
I'm sure.
I did 15 Eurovisions.
Well, 15 Eurovisions.
And Terry was just such a joy,
I bet. So you must have known him very, very well.
And Terry and Helen were such, good friends, really. And we used to go down there for, suppers and things. And they're just irreplaceable, I think.
Just to conclude, this, as you know, this podcast is called The Variety Show. In your mind, what does variety mean? Or did it mean then in terms of entertainment?
Variety is just a collection of the best performing talent, I think.
Of any type?
Of any type, yes. Whether it's jugglers, musicians, singers.
Kevin, thank you very much. It's been a delight and hugely interesting. The type of things that you've done, seen people you've met is incomparable. So thank you very, very much.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome. So if you enjoyed this episode, do go and visit on social media on Instagram, YouTube. Please do subscribe to YouTube to see bonus materials and also offers for our new live shows that will be happening. And I look forward to seeing you all at the next episode. Thank you very much.